Hello students, this video clip will cover the deal flows of venture capital funds with make-whole provision based on the LPs, contributed capital, the capital call only cases. As we discussed, we need to understand many terminologies, which is deal terms for the basics of fund flows, right? Investment period, vintage years, all these qualified investors, management fees, the carried interest, 20% of the as ballpark, and the make whole provisions, the point of the GP participation after all contributed capital returned to the LPs, and then some waterfall agreement. We are going to do this case, the next video clips, and then some definitions of the capitals. The committed capital is the maximum pledge on the limited partnership agreement. How much is going to be put in the venture capital funds, right? But the contributed capital, which is paid in capital, some of the actual capital calls, not necessarily to be the same as committed capital. If the GP stop investing at some point, then that is the sum of all the actual capital calls. It's not the committed capital, right? Invested capital is definitely not the same as contributed capital because management fee is upfront fees taken out before investment, right? So contributed capital minus management fee is invested capital, right? The committed capital is very important. Why? Because the management fee is calculated based on the committed capital, because the GPs don't know if they invest the full amount of committed capital or less amount, which is contributed capital, less than the committed capital. So always percentage of committed capital for the management fee is, the committed capital. Here, first case is make a whole provision based on LPs. We have the assumption part, committed capital, management fee, percentage GP, and LPs profit shares, carried interest, and then discount rate of GP and LPs, 15%, let's say. And then the year balance of a fund, we have the two part, beginning balance and the ending balance, right, in a year. And application and make a whole, when is the point of GP profit shared, started, right? And then finally, cash flows and ratios, investment criteria, so that we can see some the performance measure here, right? So let's go. First, beginning of the first year, net asset value before capital call. What is this? Definitely zero, because not yet contributed. Now the 330 million, first the capital call to the LP, and then GP received this money. Now, this is not based on the capital call, 2% of 300. No, a billion times 2%, right? This must be now management fees, throughout the vintage year. And then cumulative invested capital, how to get it, right? This is, I want to put this as a negative because it's expense, right? Then let's put the sum of this. And then we got 310 million. End of the year, let's assume that throughout the year, this fund generate $33 million. So NAV is increased by 33. So 343. And then less distribution. We do not distribute any money to LPs and GP. We just started investment, right? We assume this money. So there's no distribution. So, but we have an assumption here, as you can see, 500, I like it that way. We also have the assumption, the value increase. We also have the capital call assumption in this case. So what is the beginning balance of the second year of the net asset value of the fund, right? The ending balance of the last year. Then here we have the same, right? Same process. So 600, we just sum all this up. And then if we assume 111 increases, in the value of the investment, then, right, we can just use the formula here. The sum of this cumulative invested capital increased by the value of the investment in that year, 111, right? 111. And then we put here. So the net asset value after distribution is, yeah, because still the same, because there's no distribution at all yet. And then likewise, I'm going to drag all these numbers. Then this as well. This as well. So as you can see, first distribution to the LP and GP starting from 500 here, right? Now the company, the fund decided to distribute a certain amount as a distribution, cash, distributed cash. So likewise, we created this, the balance of the fund, right? And then finally, 1,146 was the net asset value of the fund before distribution. And then this amount is fully distributed to LPs. And then the remaining value of this, the fund is 0, right? And then what is the sum of all this management fees? Management fee sum of this is 140. Okay, now we set up all year balance of the fund. Based on this deal flows, we will calculate how we distribute the profits, the fund profits, or the initial investments to the LPs and GPs, because the GPs want to get definitely 2% the management fees, but the performance sharing is the point here, right? Performance sharing is here. So we want to measure how we share this carried interest, right? 20% carried interest, 80%, 20% rule to the LPs and GPs. Okay, so let's get started. The amount owed to the LPs before the distribution. How much is this? How much are they owed? Right, the capital cost is the amount owed, right? So 330. Next, how much is the less distribution? Right, we have here, right? Let's now put here the amount owed to LPs after distribution, right? We can just sum this two up, right? That's right. And then what is this amount owed? It must be now cumulative, because that shows a total amount paid in capital, right? Or contributed capital. This is the capital cost in each year, right? But what we want to get is how much amount is owed to LPs before the distribution, right? So we must add now this 300, right? That's right, 300, new the capital cost of year 2. Now 630 is amount owed, right? And then the same way, there's no distribution, so it's not decreased. The amount owed is not decreased to the LP, right? And GP. Now this fund is still owe 630. The same way, I'm going to write a drag 770, right? 630 increased by 140, the third capital cost, right? And then this fund owed to distribute the LPs and GPs, right? Here. Now next, let's just one more drag. This number is now very important. 820 amount owed, right? What is this number? Right, this is sum of the capital cost, right? Sum of capital cost. This is full amount of right? The paid-in capital. Now, first time 500 is distributed, right? That is distribution to the LPs. Is that right? So the remaining amount is 320. The purpose of doing this part is to identify where is the point, when is the time of the make whole provision once this once this value of the fund once the distribution to the LP covered 820, which is total the capital cost in full, then from then on, now the LP can share the profits with 20% rule. That is the subject to carry, right? But not still yet, because 820, right? Only the distribution is 500, right? So LP cannot receive the 20% from the distribution profit, right? You guys understand, right? So 300 like this. And then next year 5, the same process. Let's go one by one. Now 300 here and 360. Now I'm going to drag just one more step here. What does that mean? Amount owed to LPs after distribution subject to carry. Now 500, 360, in total 860. That's over 840. So this 40 is, right, the point when we apply the make a whole, because 820 is already fully covered. Even 40 is additional amount of the distribution. You guys understand, right? So this amount is definitely will be used to carry, subject to carry, right? Okay, then let's go here. Oh, we also the amount to carry, because at this point we need to distribute the GP's carry. Here is 0. Definitely it's just a 0, right? Because before the 820 fully recovered. So those are just the 0, 0, 0, and also this here is 0. But from this, now how to calculate this 40 now times, let's remove a minus, because that is the benefit, right? How much percentage? 20%, right? I'm going to fix this. So 8 million is now the profit sharing, or the make whole point for the GP's carry. Got it? Okay. Then point is one more time is here. How much is the amount owed? If I just drag 40, no, there's no amount owed to LPs, because 820 covered fully, right, between these years, right? So it must be, right, just a 0. Then the year 7 is definitely also 0, right? The next, how to get this number, right, which is given number. And then also one more time from this distribution, right? Now this distribution is the same amount as the distribution to LPs and GPs, right? The amount owed to LPs is now over to this, right? The total, the capital cost, right? So this amount is now full amount of sharing to the GPs, right? So 40% like this. Finally, the last year, also this 1,146 is the full distribution eligible to the GPs and LPs as well, right? So 20% of this amount will be distributed, right? Okay, so that is the amount of GPs carry from the make whole point since year 5 to 6, 7, right? The rest amount after all this 820 sum of capital calls recovered, and then rest of amount from year 5, now they receive 20% from the amount in excess of 820. You guys understand, right? So let's just sum this up. Then let's sum. Okay, then let's take a look at what is the actual amount of distribution to LP in total, right? So distribution to LP, now there's no distribution, right? There's no distribution at all. Here, distribution to LP, 0, all the way to year 5, 0. Then let's convert this. We want to remove negative, and then amount of G, the carry is, and then amount of G carry, because we want to subtract 40 minus 80, right? So we want, here, starting from here, and then minus, and this. Okay, what does that mean? What does that mean? 500 is distribution, right? But we need to take out the 20% of GP's carry, right? But year 4, there's no the remaining, right? Excess of 820. That's why the 500 is in full of the distribution to the LPs, right? But here, year 5, this 360 is not the full amount distributed to the LP. Why? Because the excess amount is out of 820 is 40. Out of 40, 20% is for GP's carry. So minus 8, right? 360 minus 8 is now 352 is the GP's, the distribution, right? GP's the profit. The same way we got this number, right? Now let's identify distribution to GP's. GP's doesn't have any carry here, right? And then let's just drag to the right. Is that correct? Right. And then total fund distribution, which is output. We want to identify if total the distribution is the same as what we calculated here, 2,256. Here, the sum of these two. Now let's drag to the right. So it must be same as, right, this distribution to LPs and GPs, right? But we identify how we distributed this amount, right, in this section, right? So let's just make sure. Sum of this number, then sum of all the GPs, and then sum of the total fund distribution, which is the same as this, right? 280 and 287, which is the same. And then this distribution, including the profit, additional profit, and the capital cost, sum of this is 1969. We are going to use this number when we calculate some profit performance measurement in section 4. Next, total fund profits. How to get the total fund profits? Always profit is measured by output minus input, right? Output minus input. So where is the total output? Total output, right? That's what we just calculate here, right? Minus, what is the input? Total input. Who put the investment amount? Right, here you go, 820. So the total fund profit is 1,436,000, right? Then what is the LP profit? So we need to calculate LP's output minus LP's input, right? So where is the LP's output? Here we go, 1969. Where is the LP's input? Cash input, right? The same, 820. So LP got 1,146. Next, I'm going to make this one more time. Yeah, to make. Okay, then LP's share of profits must be 80%. Is that right? Right. So how to get it? The profit over total profit, right? That must be 80%, right? Because we have this profit sharing rule here, 80%, right? Then GP's share of profits, how to get it? Where is GP's profit? 287, right? Million. Divided by, what is the total, the funded profits? Here we go. So must be 20%. You guys got it, right? Now let's move on to actual cash flows and ratios and investment criteria. If this investment is satisfied, like greater the required rate of return, greater the rate of return than the required rate of return or discount rate of 15%. So we'll measure IRR, the total value over the paid-in capital for the LPs, and then to cover some the concept of the profitability in terms of NPV or the dollar term to complement this IRR, we'll also measure the NPV. Okay, so we need to a little bit now the reconstruct this cash flow spreadsheet. Cash flow spreadsheet started from today. So year one is not the beginning of year one. This is only explains at the end of the year. At the end of the year, right? So beginning of the year, starting from 0 here for today, right? So cash outflow. Now take a look at this as a cash outflow, right? Not inflow or outflow. So here we are going to take this capital calls. Again, this is cash flows to the LP. Where is the cash? So cash outflow, which is capital calls. There you go. And then let's drag it to at the end of the year 3. Again, remember the capital calls have been the beginning of the year upfront, right? So that the fund can invest. So we collect all this number from this capital calls. After year 3, end of year 3, there's no other capital calls, right? Now, do we have any other cash flows after that? Not cash outflows, but from year 4, we have cash flows, which is inflow. Now, this is end of the year, right? End of the year distribution. So now we link these numbers. Cash flow to the GPs. Also, we are using this GPs. Where is the GPs cash flow here? Right, there you go. Management fees, right? Management fee. For the fund's point of view, definitely it's a minus, right? But for the cash flows to GPs, it must be now positive, right? So I changed this number, positive number, right? And then this 20 goes to, right, only year 4. Why? From the year 5, there is additional cash in, which is distribution from the profit, right? So first, I'm going to drag here. That is the total, each year, the management fees. But here, we don't have, oh, this amount is, again, year 7 is the beginning year or the end of the prior year, right? The beginning year. Do we have anything, and do we have the management fee at the end of year 7? No, there's no. That's why I only dragged up to here, right? Now this year 4, year 5 must now include this. 8 include this 50 Oh, sorry, not this. Must include this 8 and 50, which is distribution from the profit sharing. And then finally, there's no the management fee at the end of this term, right? But we have to put this 229, right? And then we got this, all the cash flows. All the cash flows. Very good, very good. Now, value ratios, which is multiples. First, the performance of this fund can be measured in multiples. First, residual value to paid in, we will calculate the ratios, right? The multiples from the cumulative year by year and distribution to paid in and the total, the value paid in, right? In this way. First, what is the residual value? Residual value means that at the beginning there's no today there's no value the multiples yet, right? But from year one, end of year one, what is the residual value here, right? The value remaining is 343, right? 343. Then divided by what is the paid in amount? Paid in amount. Paid in amount is, there you go, 300. You got it, right? So 1.14. Next year is 1.0. That is now residual value. Now we have to put, oh, sorry, not this one. Total paid in must be, okay, must be used this cumulative, right? And then let's just drag, and then we got this multiples, and the multiples one more time, right? And then it is increased, and then all of a sudden decreased once, right, distribution take place. Then here we need to adjust this number. Why? What is the total paid in? Paid in is not 320. From then on, it must be still right. Now I'm going to fix this number from this year, right? Because paid in amount 820 is the maximum, right? And then let's just drag. It is decreased, and then finally this is 0. Once total the residual value, which is NAV, is just 0 at the end of year 4, year 7. Now the distribution to paid in, which is the cumulative DPA, as the multiple balance, right? Distribution paid in, we are using the same way here. Distribution, where is the distribution? Right, there you go. The distribution amount is here. Found the distribution divided by, right, there we go. So which is 0. Every year has been 0, right? But from year 4, this distribution, total fund 820, now distribute at 500, right? The same way, the total investment, right? The paid in amount is not 320, but this amount. I want to just fix this. And then, oh, by the way, here the distribution to paid in must be, right, cumulative, right? Cumulative. So I'm going to add 500. Oh, that's why here I'm going to add 500, which is total cumulative, right? Then we have 1.04. Oh, by the way, we calculate this value for the LPs. I'm sorry, this is my mistake. This is not this number, but this number. The performance, right? It must be also 500. And then next, also we want to get one more time the cumulative, right? And then the later here, we must add one more time the sum of this, or 1969, right? And then we got this 2.4. So total value paid in is just, we can sum all this residual value and distribution, right? So that is how we get the total value, residual value plus distribution for numerator. So sum of these two. First year, now it shows over 1. That means now total paid in compared to the total paid in, the value of the fund is greater than, right, the capital cost, the sum of capital cost. Then every year is increased by the profit generation, and then total paid in end up in 2.4 times than the capital cost, right? So we can simply also calculate here this total value paid in to LP. LP is, where is this number, right? There we go. Sum of distribution to LPs, right? And then divided by, right, the capital cost 820. So we got 2.4, right? That is the multiples, the performance, the times, how many times the LPs generate total net the value from this fund investment, 2.4 times than the capital cost investment. We can also express this 2.4 times the profit as percentage of rate of return, right? So we can use IRR. Now let's put just all these values, drag, then 19.97%, right? Which is greater than 15% discount rate. If you want to see this LP's performance in the dollar term, then we can use MPV, right? MPV. How do we calculate MPV? Using the rate, 15%, which is required rate of return, right? And then let's drag from year 1 only the future cash flows, and then finally subtract this beginning. So we got 164, 62 for the MPV, and then MPV of GPs also can calculate the rate, discount rate, times comma, and then drag all the future cash flows, right? And then this 20 today, so 207. Wow, it's way higher, right? And then, yeah, we've done. This is again the process. First, we need to measure the year balance of the fund, right? The deal flows. And then how do we allocate the profits to the GPs and LPs? We need to understand the make a whole point. Once this fund make it profit over, or distribution over to the 820, which is sum of the capital cost, and then from then on, the excess of this total number, the capital cost is the point of make whole point, right? And then 20% will be applied for the excess amount, right? And then how do we measure the performance of this fund? First, we need to get the cash flows of LPs and GPs, and then we will also calculate some IRR, and then some multiples here. Okay, that's all. See you in the next video clip for the preferred rate and the catch up and deal by deal. See you in the next video clip. Bye bye.